With YouTube attacking alternative media, please consider supporting the channel via Patreon for just $1 per month. Link below.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is Mundane Chats, and this is going to be a vlog where I actually respond to people's comments on videos. It's something that I've wanted to do for a while. I'm out right now running an errand. I thought it'd be fun to give this a shot while I wait for my girlfriend to finish up what she's doing, and I got the baby asleep in the back seat. And I figured better than just constantly responding to comments or missing a lot of them, I could go through a fair amount, few minutes worth, and answer some questions. And so the first one I wanted to do was my video about Susan Wojcicki outlines the future of YouTube in 2018, because this was a long video, a 28-minute long video, and there's a lot that went on to that, and I want to see what people are saying, and I want to respond. So first things first, we've got this one here from Captain April saying, I've got no problem getting the 4,000 views per month, but how the hell am I supposed to conjure up another 400 subscribers in 2 weeks? Well, you need, just to be fair, you need 4,000 hours over the span of 12 months is how you need that to get paid. And that boils down to being roughly 166 days. To give you an idea about that, I got a video on this channel where I talk about how I pity the YouTuber Darkside Phil. And that is pulling in right now approximately 100 hours per day of watch time. So that would be 100 hours compared to the 4,000. It adds up. The key there is you have to just keep creating content, and the more content you create, I believe, the more you will be able to see success. It just requires that you, be current with the times, have good tags, good descriptions, and a good thumbnail, and then go from there. So not only that, we got Average Heretic here saying people think that this people think this isn't the game plan to kill the platform. It is. What other company would tank like this and they don't care the CEO, and they don't fire the CEO? Google owns YouTube. Google is this SJW infested neg hole who wants what the corporate media wants. She's doing exactly what she's being told to do. And I love these comments in regards to Susan Wojcicki, because for one, I don't believe that. I don't think she's good at her job, but like the commentary, like, oh, it's YouTube. You have to understand, a lot of times people who watch like my content and let's say Sargon of Akkad's and, other people like that, commentators or skeptics, whatever you want to say, we end up ultimately having a lot of the same subscribers. So it's a lot of the same people that keep in that same community. And so when one thing impacts one of us, it feels ultimately like it impacts all of us. And in some cases it does, absolutely. But looking at this, it's like, this isn't a platform, this isn't a game plan to kill YouTube. YouTube, it already runs at a profit loss. So there's no reason that they would try to kill it. They're literally keeping it afloat in order to keep any competition from coming in. That's what it boils down to. And Amazon itself might actually be willing to come in and end that. Like this Amazon Tube thing may be a thing. So ultimately, no, it's Google is not trying to kill YouTube. Why would they? It's Susan Wojcicki, I think, is just trying to keep things afloat. And ultimately, that's going to be hard for her in the long run. So it says here, Red234 says, I wonder how YouTube will get with worse after net neutrality is officially killed off. Well, net neutrality may be in a battle right now with the government. Like Ajit Pai signed its death warrant. California suing to keep it active. I think Colorado, Washington State, where I'm at, suing to keep it active. It's a bipartisan effort in Congress to basically overturn that decision. That should be voted on here pretty soon. And then as a result of that, YouTube will then be, I think they'll be fine. Again, the idea here essentially says that it's, like if they might have to like put more ads on the videos or try to find a better way to make up revenue if they start putting YouTube on some kind of throttling system. But at the same time, ISPs aren't really going to mess with Google. And I think because it's like more of a symbiotic relationship. But at this, I would say like Netflix and Hulu and those kind of sites would definitely be ones that be looked at here. Okay, so Out of the Shell vlog here says about halfway through the video, it's about, 14 minutes. saying, I'm hearing almost nothing that affects me. The inability to monetize my channel and thus gain any decent traction affects me, but the whole monetization features and blah, 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 blah are so far nothing to channels around my size and those much larger. Basically seems like a whole huge talk about how Susan's getting on her knees and trying to fondle the balls of the biggest YouTube stars. That's pretty much it. Well, maybe yes, maybe no. Essentially what we're looking at here is the fact that they have cut down, you know, to the channels that get 4,000 hours in a year and 1,000 subscribers is a lofty goal for some smaller channels that have trouble reaching that point. You know, when I first started my channel, I had 715 subscribers after the first year. So, and I had way more than 4,000 hours worth of view time because I got lucky on a couple videos when the whole Coney 2012 thing happened. But ultimately, no, I got kind of like, you know, screwed on that one, if that would have been a thing. And the reason why Mundane Matt channel was the one that I went with was because I created it in 2009 and it was grandfathered in. So ultimately, it's not like, you know, she's not really trying to like fondle the balls of larger YouTubers. It's more like they're the ones that are going to get probably the preferential treatment, and then it's going to go down from there. But ultimately, she does want a lot of us to be on the same, I think, on the same wavelength. But it does feel like they are going to be spending a lot more time on the Google preferred. So ultimately, think of it like this: it's not fondling the balls of larger YouTubers. It's actually holding their feet to the fire more, because Google preferred videos are going to see a manual review for every video, right? Whereas people like me and maybe you are, because we're not Google preferred, we will be put on the automated system. I can't tell you what's going to be worse or what's going to be better, but ultimately I think that's what it boils down to. Let's see here. Okay, so this one I find to be interesting. Attila von Stryker comments on how I kind of called out Dave Rubin, saying, comments on Dave Rubin courting sympathy after running a GoFundMe because he can't afford surgery for his cat. If you are that broke, maybe buying a new house and bringing a baby into the world should have waited until you got your shit together. P.S. Keep pimping that Patreon for the account, hypocrite. Okay, well, let's address that, because those are valid criticisms. My criticism of Dave Rubin stems from the fact that this is an automated flagging system on YouTube. So all the crap that gets hit, like all of our channels that get hit, is automated. It's all through an algorithm. So we all get hit. It's not an uncommon practice. The thing is that because it's a common occurrence now, complaining about a video getting demonetized or limited ads right off the bat is a moot point. It really is, because that's something that's a machine that's doing it. When it comes to the manual review of those videos, that is where you run into a problem. Because Dave Rubin, and I checked Dave Rubin's videos before I recorded yesterday, the ones he was making stink about online, they were demonetized, but then they were monetized with pre-roll ads. Pre-roll ads are a higher premium ad, so you get more money for them. So no, Dave is full of crap, because Dave is playing this sympathy card constantly. Me running a week-long campaign on my videos to raise money for my cat to get surgery to have a gallbladder stone removed is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. I didn't want to do it, but I'm not out there saying, like, YouTube is demonetizing me constantly. I do say with the Patreon little tag at the beginning that, yes, they are going after alternative media by dictating what we can and cannot monetize in terms of the content. And so as a result of that, it boils down to the fact that you've got the situation where people are not able to talk about certain subject matters because they can't make money at them. That's where the content comes from. So while I'm not restricted from YouTube itself, I'm not incentivized by YouTube to talk about these issues, which is more or less what I'm referring to. So this is just a snarky comment that's kind of being a dick. Don't bring a baby into the world. Hey, man, you want to say that to her, she's in the back seat. You know what I mean? Like, I get the saying, like, don't buy a house and don't have a kid. I also, at the time this stuff was being put into place, the apocalypse wasn't a thing yet. By the time the apocalypse hit, I was already in escrow on my house, and I was already, finding out I was going to be a dad. At that point, things had already happened that I wasn't planning for. And so as a result of that, things got to change. So just to kind of let you know about that one right there. Okay, so there's this one I like. Briarios Hecton, whatever, says you need to summarize the topic covered and not read the source material word for word, especially when you have it displayed on the screen. That's kind of how I do my content. So, and some people actually like it when they follow along in the story. More people than not, like when I was doing summary videos, people actually were telling me they liked it better when I read through the article, so then they could also go through it with me, and we would then have those revelations together. Part of my plan of attack is I like to summarize the article. I'll skim through it real quick. I'll make sure the relevant details are there, whatever I need. And then for the most part, certain things I will then read the article first with the audience. Since I tend to do it in a live stream, I feel it adds more of a cool little kind of like, you know, this is a live thing. This is where the experience comes from. I see his complaint. That video was all pre-recorded yesterday because I was running behind on everything. And I wasn't able to do it in a live stream, but I get it. It was long, but there's a lot there that goes through, and I'm a long-winded person, so there is that. So let's see here. Just come out and call it all crap. Matt, do you think your mommy will get angry with you for that? You know, without your beard, I might think you were a little girl. So many guys are trannies in disguise. Okay, this is kind of a dumb comment, but the thing is, I can call it crap, but YouTube is not going to change inherently just because I call it crap, you know? And so I do believe that there has to be a smarter way to criticize the platform while still being able to work within the boundaries of it, because it's a slow moving iceberg. Nothing's going to change dramatically overnight unless there's a big reason for it. And the big reason for it this year obviously was Logan Paul. Last year was PewDiePie, although it wasn't PewDiePie's fault. You know, I still stand by the whole PewDiePie didn't do nothing. And that's the thing. So I understand why people are like, call it crap, you know, whatever. But I'm not like that. I'm looking at this from a business perspective, which is one of the things I feel like I do pretty well. And a lot of people out there, there we go, I had my lights on. A lot of people out there actually approach it from more of an emotional standpoint. And I cannot let myself do that, because if I did do that, then I feel like I would probably end up just kind of like, I don't know, like I don't feel like I would be myself if I did. Does that make a lot of sense? Let's keep going on. All right, here's one from Tasumi Twee. YouTubers should rise up, storm YouTube corporate, and publicly execute Susan. Nothing says get your shit together like a bloody head on a stick. Okay, so let's address the fact that everything that was just said there, with the exception of the very first thing, I think, was wrong. Now, should YouTubers rise up and criticize YouTube for what they're doing? Absolutely. Should you storm corporate headquarters in San Francisco or Silicon Valley and publicly execute Susan Wojcicki? No. No, you should not. That is a bad idea. This is what we call a threat. This is the kind of crap that ends up getting people in trouble. Look, you can call Susan Wojcicki whatever you want to call her, but that, no. It's not going to have the desired effect that you want. It's really, really not. So here's what Gareth says, and this is more of a thought out one. Looking at the plans Wojcicki has outlined, YouTube seems to be moving away from advertising funding content and towards viewers funding content instead. Sky Television in the UK did this to some extent in the 1990s, Sky multi-channels. And it was one of their more successful moves financially. It does appear for demonetized channels that the current situation of being funded via third party, i.e. Patreon, and still being hosted on YouTube without charge will be coming to an end. Super Chat is a sticking plaster, but one I can't see YouTube continuing for demonetized channels in the same way. YouTube seems to be finally acknowledging the Patreon problem, where Patreon gets the revenue from the content creators who use bandwidth and storage from Google without compensation. YouTube will take on Patreon by undercutting them or buy Patreon. From what I can see, demonetized channels have three options. It says here, so option A, give up their third-party funding accounts, i.e. Patreon, and have YouTube as a hobby while working full-time to pay their mortgages / pay rent and bills. B, put their content behind a YouTube Red paywall, which the Wall Street Journal's owner would consider a victory. Or C, move to other platforms like Patreon, BitChute, and Minds, decimate their audience, and be prepared to have uploading limited or paid for by the creator. Demonetized content creators will have to have a frank and open discussion with their viewers should this come to light, and people are given notice. Well, I don't think any one of those things is going to happen. It just doesn't make any logical sense. YouTube runs at a profit loss. We know this. YouTube runs at a loss. And here's the thing. The amount of money that YouTube earns for Google as a whole is roughly 6%. 6% of what Google brings in yearly is from YouTube. So they run at a loss. So the idea there is that they are going to essentially end up being used predominantly to, what's the word I want to use here? They're just fun. And I mentioned this earlier in the video too. YouTube literally is just being paid for by Google, so a competitor can't take place. So there's not really a Patreon problem per se, because the idea there is that, people who do third-party, funding, that is being put on by the, creator to another party through their fan base. That could be through social media or whatever. So that's not really an issue. In fact, Google or YouTube openly encouraged you to use Patreon, in the cards. So in the cards on videos, you could link to a third-party site, and like a valid one, and one of those was in fact Patreon. So they were completely okay with you doing this. They liked it when you did this, I think, because it took pressure off of them in the long run. And it really does. If they're already operating at a profit loss and people are complaining about a loss of profit, then by putting that on the viewer through Patreon is something that they actually, I think, would want. So putting their content behind a paywall, that is something I don't think is going to happen necessarily. They are trying to push people to YouTube Red in 2018, but I think what they're going to do is they're going to basically put it behind an ad block paywall. Not a YouTube Red paywall, but an ad block paywall, where it's kind of like if you are using YouTube Red and you are, you don't see ads, so you're fine. But if you are watching YouTube on a computer or on a mobile device, you're going to see a lot more ads. And I think they're going to be a lot more non-skippable pre-roll ads, which, look, as a content creator, those actually pay out more money. But as a viewer, I freaking don't like them. Like, give me a 15-second ad and I think that would be fine. None of this 24-minute pre-roll ad nonsense. But that's kind of where we are. And I think they're going to do that. That to me feels like the most, probably the best thing they could do ultimately. Well, not best in terms of best for consumer, but best for them. I think that would be something they could do. But in the meantime, yeah. And then also move other platforms, BitShooter Minds, and Dissipate. So demonetized channels could move to decimate their audience and be prepared for having uploaded. Again, that doesn't seem to make any sense to me. They want you. The thing is, YouTube wants you to succeed, because the more money you make, the more money they technically make. And so they want you to succeed. So none of that's going to change. If you want to go to BitShoot, or you want to go to DTube, or you want to go to Minds, that's fine. That's all well and good. You know what I mean? Like, that's perfectly fine. I think you're good to do that. But ultimately, the way it's boiling down is I wouldn't worry about it too much, like, in that regard. So there's definitely a fair amount there that I can see where he's coming from, but it's also like a lot of speculation and not a lot that's based on information that's been available. But I get it. Like, I'm not trying to talk down to the guy. Like, that's just kind of where we are. Okay, Jar of Rats here says, Matt, set your new videos to private, then wait to see about demonetization. Since most of the revenue's in the first 3 days, you can get a video reviewed, dispute claims of naughtiness, etc. Then, when that's resolved, make the video public and get the first day revenue bump. That is a very good idea. However, Jar of Rats, here is the problem with that. A lot of my videos get demonetized, believe it or not, the next day. The next damn day is when they get demonetized. On not only Mundane Matt, but $3 Theater. They get hit the next day. I get some that get hit right away. Right? Some get hit right away. This video right now is demonetized, but it got demonetized today, this afternoon, like right after noon. But I posted it last night around I think 7 o'clock or some shit. So it's like I had all that time, but in the meantime, now it's not. So it doesn't matter. Posting it and then letting it sit and letting it see what happens doesn't matter. I've had videos that I've posted that were green, that were monetized, that sat overnight because I had pre-programmed them for the next day. They're perfectly fine to go. And then all of a sudden, I hit publish. And as soon as I hit publish, they end up getting demonetized. So it doesn't matter. Okay, so finally, because this has been going on for over 20 minutes now, or almost 20 minutes, Game Over here says, I noticed a sponsor button on some of YouTubers, never seen before. So this is interesting because right now it's only on gaming channels, right? Or people who are streaming gaming or something like that. So essentially what it is that they are trying to copy Twitch. And this is going to be something that's going to decimate Twitch if Twitch doesn't respond in kind. Now, here's why that is. So Twitch right now offers you to be able to subscribe to a channel or whatever, and it's $5 a month for that channel, where on YouTube, it's the same price, $5 a month. But the difference here lies in the fact that Twitch takes $2.50 of that from the streamer. YouTube takes 30%. So you actually get more money by going to YouTube. Now, when it comes to Super Chat, that's horseshit. They take 30%. That they should take. No, they shouldn't take 30% of that. They don't deserve 30% of Super Chats. Like, they just don't. My baby's starting to cry. But ultimately, that's the situation, is they're trying to do that to compete with Twitch. And a lot of streamers who already do both, they go, you know, Twitch and they do YouTube, they might start making their way over to YouTube if they can get the same kind of sponsorship level over there, and then they get more of their money. And the excuse they have to give to their audience is just that if you come over and do this, I actually make more. And that would require Twitch to meet them in the middle for competition and lower their cut down to like 25% or something. If they can undercut YouTube, then people will go there. And that's where this next battle is going to take place at. But what I'm waiting for is YouTube to allow that option to happen for every single channel. And that, believe it or not, will actually really, really, really help out in terms of YouTubers getting losing out on income. That would actually be a benefit for them. And it's one that ultimately is going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But in the meantime, I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me on this one and going through these. I plan on doing these more often. They're kind of fun to do, sit in the car while I'm waiting to pick up the girlfriend. And yeah, leave your comments below. I will talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day. Peace out.